Well, I don't know about you, but that passage was terribly confusing. Mike read it really well, but it's a tough one. The argument and thought structure isn't easy to follow, and it's also confusing theology. The Bible elsewhere tells us God is the same yesterday, today, and forever. But then this excerpt from the letter to the Hebrews seems to suggest that the God Moses trembled before manifested as fire, darkness, whirlwind, painful sound. But this God also manifests in Jesus, where angels gather and children are saved and spirits are made perfect. So the passage seems to suggest maybe we don't need to be afraid like Moses, but then says we better listen because we can't escape the voice that shakes from heaven. But God's kingdom can't be shaken. Wow, it's a lot. I had to put parentheses around part of the word in the sermon title because are we shaken by an awesome God and powerful voice? Or are we part of an unshakable kingdom? Well, both. God is awesome and commanding and maybe even frightening. And God also invites us to solid ground in Jesus where we don't have to be afraid. This is, as our series title reminds us, a long story. Remember? Even if God doesn't change, people, human communities, the ways we interact with God change. Scripture and faith can be confusing and a challenge. And that's okay, even good, for us to work out our faith and seek understanding, wrestle with all it means and what it means for us. But first, we've got to have the solid ground down. From the security of the basics, the love and grace of God, the call to love our neighbors, a community of faith that supports you and has your back. Standing on all this, then engaging the questions, admitting the doubts, seeking understanding, groping toward faithfulness can be good things. So, Renata graciously shared with us that she had the gift of a faith community when she was younger with honorary, I think was the word she used. I really liked that word. Honorary grandparents and aunts and uncles and siblings. Our kids, too, at Desert Skies need to be welcomed and supported to learn and experience these basics, to form and claim that solid ground, the house on the rock, have their questions affirmed, any doubts taken seriously, their insights valued, so that they grow toward engaging more and more of the complexity and depth of our faith and our God. Faith, like a child, yes, but that can engage and withstand the realities of maturity. This is a message for all of us, not just the young among us. Even the song we sang during the Moment for All Ages really is for all ages. We're all in this together, all generations, as we grow and learn and teach and support each other. Our children teach me and demonstrate God's truth to me, as I have at times mentioned from right here. And I have opportunity to build relationships with our kids and pour into them too. I have a couple stories to tell you from this week. I got to see Jeremiah a couple different times this week. He came into the office actually first on Tuesday, and I don't know if you know, Tuesday is my work from home day. I prep sermon and service, except for when it's busy, like last Tuesday, and I have to do it later in the week. But I was not in my office, and so he didn't get to use the Nerf basketball hoops that's in my office that he likes to come use. Wednesday, he came from Momco, and he came into the office, and he said, "Is Brooke home?" And I was thinking he assumed I live at church because that's where he sees me. But then later at Momco, when I was with him and others at Momco, he saw someone else coming, and I don't remember who it was. I don't even remember if it was an adult or a kid. And he said their name, and he said, "So-and-so is home," when he was at church. And I realized what he meant is that church feels like home to him. Many of you probably remember when that was not the case. The first time Danielle and I met in the nursery, so he would have some things to do, he cried when the nursery door opened because he was sure Mom was going to leave. And now he welcomes people home at church. I got to see him on Thursday, not at church. We started Momco in Vail. Maybe Jeremiah's seen me at various people's houses, but always with church people. So he saw me at Arizona Senior Academy, and he said, "Brooke?" I said, "Yes, Jeremiah." He said, "I love you." And I was so surprised. I said, "Did you say I love you?" He said, "Yes." I said, "Well, I love you too, Jeremiah." And so we are so blessed by the kids among us, aren't we? We've had some good growth in our children's programs, and we have opportunity before us. But there is much to do in order to serve families and children well here. And it is the responsibility of all of us. It takes a village, as they say. If you are part of Desert Skies, our village, I expect you to find a way to support children's ministry. After the service, there will be children's ministry volunteers on the patio ready to help you find a way to get involved. So find at least one way, one time in the next year that you can support children's ministry before you leave today, on the patio or on your Connect card. I believe you can indicate it on your Connect card as well. I'll give you a few possibilities. They are not exhaustive. We need Sunday school and Momco volunteers. If we get not a ton of you, a few of you to commit to once a month, it will only be once a month. If being directly with kids is not your thing, but you want to support Sunday school, you could prep supplies for a craft or bring a snack on a Sunday morning. We need people to help with special programs. That would be your once a year thing. Music camp and or VBS in the summer, Western Sunday, an Advent festival, a special kids program in Vail to help us get traction with children and families there. Danielle is heading up advertising, promotion, welcome. We need some website layout and content help. She kind of helped me see our website through somebody looking for children and family ministries. It needs a little work. If you're good at that communication and can help us, you don't need to do the technical parts of it. You could. However, whatever skills you have, we need them. And again, if working directly with kids is not your thing, there's many ways you can help. Our physical spaces used by our kids, you could help us in them when the kids are not here. Ms. Lorna has given trustees a list of things that need to be done, and they are working on them, but we need some work done on the playground and in our classrooms. Can you fix a gate? Help deep clean a ministry space once or twice a year? Help make decisions about toys and policies in the nursery? All kinds of ways. Whatever skills or interests you have can be put to service of our children and families. So let's help more of our children transition from crying when they see the nursery, afraid parents are going to leave them, to calling it home. And thank you for your patience in supporting our families as they grow in this part of a long story transition. You probably remember the days when Jeremiah stayed in the sanctuary and ran around during service. Do you remember last week at the conclusion of the Moment for All Ages, he said, "I'm going to Sunday school." I said, "Okay, great, I'll see you later." I trust that will be the case eventually for Milo, and if not, he's welcome to stay in here all the time. Thank you, congregation, for also growing into the pray and play space and for embracing our kids at whatever stage of part of our long story they are in. Help us be that firm foundation from which kids learn security and they feel loved and accepted as they are, that they may continue to engage faith and a faith community as they grow up. I think I have time to tell some short news from research that's now several years old, but I think is probably still applicable today, talking about having our kids continue to engage faith and a faith community. I've told you this before, but I think it's worth reminding all of us. Some research found that the single biggest predictor about whether young people would continue to be active in a faith community after it was their own choice. It wasn't the programming, the lights, the music, even the other young people that were present in the congregation. The single biggest predictor about whether they would choose to continue to engage a faith community on their own is if 5 people in the congregation where they were recently raised knew their name, knew something about them, and regularly cared about them in active ways. That should be good news, y'all. It doesn't require a budget. We've got some of the things that I mentioned, and that's great. Our music is good. Our lights are improving. Thanks for the work, trustees. But those aren't the things that matter. What matters to all of us, right, is to be known and cared for and to be able to exchange that in authentic relationships. So don't all line up, especially when my son is the only youth here. Please don't line up, and especially to ask him the same question, how's school? He's like, I don't know how to answer that. I don't know what they're interested in. Do they want to know what school lunch is like? Do they want to know what AP classes are like? Do they want to know what friends are like? I don't know how to answer that. So a challenge might be to find a more specific question than how's school and spread it out. Let him or whoever is here know they're cared for, but not because you have to. If you feel like you have to, let somebody else do it. That's okay. He doesn't, I guarantee you, want 70 people lining up to ask him a question. But find out about our young people. When are their volleyball games? What student council office were they interested in? Did they get elected or not? What do they like to do on the playground? And how can you support that or get involved in that? You could go to some of their things if they're for public, or you could send them a card, or there's all kinds of ways that you can support our young people directly or indirectly. That strayed a little bit because we moved from children into youth, but that's what happens in the long story, right? So you're going to go out to the patio. You're going to talk with Miss Lorna is Sunday school, which doesn't have to be directly with kids. Snacks, craft prep. That's Miss Lorna. Danielle is also going to be out there. She can plug you into our communication, advertising, welcoming, those kinds of things. She will also, for me, since I will be really unable to engage that specifically at that time, take your interest and contact info for assisting with other programs, Western Sunday and such. So the physical spaces, you could talk with Miss Lorna or with Mike Klein. Chair of Trustees is here. He's like, I didn't know you were going to say that, but thank you, Mike. Today or sometime soon. All right, I got to stop. But thank you all for being a family to my family, to me, to each other, and to those who haven't found us yet. May it be so in the name of the Creator, Redeemer, and Sustainer.